He was also a proud veteran of the United States Air Force. Barry married Barbara Katowski Conway in 1958, and they raised their children in Cranston, Rhode Island, and Newburyport, Massachusetts, before settling in the Granite State and calling Hampton home. He is survived by his sons Stephen and Diane of Wellesley, Mass., and Bradford, Carla, and Carla of Arlington, Virginia. Barry was also an adoring grandfather to Jack, Eliza, and Grace, and Audrey Conway. His passion for increasing access to veterans' health care was insatiable, and he served as the 9th Commandant of the New Hampshire Veterans Home in Tilton, New Hampshire for over 2 decades. Barry remained active in the New Hampshire veteran community upon retirement in 2013, sitting on various New Hampshire state commissions and committees. He was also a member of the American Legion Post 49 in Tilton, New Hampshire. Earlier this week, I walked down Portrait Hall at the Veterans Home, down to Commandant McKay's, our current Commandant's office. I wanted to count what number Barry was, and he was the 9th Commandant. And there's a whole line of those who have served before him, from the first Commandant, Captain Smith, in 1890. And I felt, as I always do walking down that hall, a tremendous sense of history. It is a testament to the dedication of the citizens of New Hampshire that have shown since the Civil War to its sons and daughters who have worn the battle and have served their fellow citizens on behalf of the Granite State. And Barry's portrait hangs in that hallowed hall. Barry served as the New Hampshire Veterans Home's 9th Commandant from 1989 to 2013, and during the construction of our Life Enhancement Dementia Unit in 2004. And since the home's inception in 1890, only 11 Commandants have led the state's long-term care facility dedicated to those who served. Barry's tenure is the longest. Only 2 other Commandants served more than 20 years, Major Trickey and Wendell Kroll. Commandant McKay had these words to say: "Although I never worked with Barry, others have shared with me that he was passionate about his role, and he knew many residents and staff by name. A few current team members with many years of longevity relate that he spent many hours at the home and truly enjoyed his position as the Commandant. Having served in the U.S. Air Force, his role as the president of the National Association of State Veterans Homes helped fill his desire to serve fellow veterans, and as a commission member for the New Hampshire Governor's Commission on Disability, he was a passionate advocate for all those with disabilities too. Finally, during his tenure as Commandant of the New Hampshire Veterans Home, he transferred ownership of the 104 acres here in Boscawen, which would later be developed to this sacred space to honor veterans. Commandant Conway was influential in the planning and development of this place, where his remains will now be laid to rest. On behalf of Commandant McKay, my colleagues, and the many veterans and residents and their families whom Barry served so many years, please accept our heartfelt condolences to his family and to all who loved him." Preparing for this memorial, scripture came to mind is from Esther 4:14, the story of Esther as she was raised to be a queen of Persia, had an opportunity to save her people. And Mordecai, her cousin, said this to her: "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Esther saved the nation. Barry used his various positions in New Hampshire to enhance the lives of his fellow veterans. What position and influence have you been given? Perhaps you have not yet come to a royal position or an influential position in the community, but in whatever circumstances you find yourself, you can follow their example of working to make life better for your fellow human beings, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Don't underestimate the power that you have to make a difference, if only for one person. May your coming together today to mark the passing of Barry, to celebrate his life, renew the bonds of love and friendship you have for one another. May the memory of him fill your hearts with joy and laughter, for now you may feel the sadness of his loss. May you tell the stories of his life when you visit the places you went with him, as you sit at the breakfast table, and as you share the company of family and friends in your living room, for as long as you speak of him, you honor him and remember him. In honor of a fellow Air Force veteran, I will close with a poem by John Gillespie McGee Jr. "Oh, I've slipped the surly bonds of skies on laughter's silver wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbled mirth of sun's-lit clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence, hovering there. I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark nor eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind I've trod the high, unsurpassed sanctity of space, I put my hand out and touched the face of God. We commend to your gracious mercy the soul of Barry Edward Conway. His remains we lay to rest in this place in sure and certain hope of the resurrection of dead through Jesus Christ our Lord. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Blessed are those who die in the Lord. Yes, for they shall rest from their labors. His Son will now save you.
Remember the joy. Don't grieve for me, for now I am free. I follow the plan ordained for me. I saw his face, I heard his call. I took his hand and left it all.
I could not stay another day to love, to work or play. Tasks left undone must stay that way. And if my parting has left a void, then fill it with the hope of joy.
Friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss. Ah, yes, these things I did, shall miss. My life's been full, I've savored much. Good times, good friends, a love close touch.
Perhaps my time seemed all too brief. Don't shorten yours of new grief. Be not burdened with tears of sorrow. Enjoy the sunshine of tomorrow.
Thanks everyone for coming. On behalf of the broader Conway family, I want to thank you for coming today. Following the service, we'll be having a celebration of life to Barry at the Hotel Concord on Main Street, Concord, New Hampshire. I think there's cards in the back if you need the details. After my father passed, I got a text message from one of my closest friends. It read, "Your father was a passionate family man and someone who took great pride in his work. Barry was a man who completed his life's mission." I knew this analogy would have resonated greatly with my father. Barry was an Air Force veteran. Both his father and father-in-law were career Army men. And of course, Barry spent over 20 years at the helm of the New Hampshire Veterans Home. The military and its veterans were the center of Barry's professional life and very much part of our family history. After serving as a medic in the Air Force, Barry launched a career in public service, focusing on community health and elderly long-term care. In 1989, Barry got his, quote, dream job at the New Hampshire Veterans Home, a place where he could combine his healthcare leadership experience with his passion for advocacy of veterans. During his 24 years as Commandant, Barry led many changes to the Veterans Home. He improved and expanded the facility several times, including the construction of the Life Enhancement Dementia Unit in 2004. Beyond the improvements to the facility, Commandant Conway was a constant presence and champion for the residents. He took great pride in knowing all of them personally and made sure they were receiving the resources they needed to live a dignified, high-quality life. Both the residents and the staff of the New Hampshire Veterans Home were truly a second family to my father. Outside the Veterans Home, Barry was steadfast in his advocacy for veterans. He often lobbied state and national governments for funding and was active in organizations such as the American Legion and the National Association of State Veterans Homes. One project Barry was very proud of was his involvement of the construction of this very place, the New Hampshire State Veterans Cemetery, which was completed in 1997. It turned out to be such a special place to him He chose this as his final resting place. Barry's work in healthcare also helped him to meet his wife and start a family. The story goes that while working in patient transport at Rhode Island Hospital in Providence, an x-ray technician caught Barry's eye. Soon after, he was offered to take any patient to x-ray that needed to go. And if I were to speculate, making up other reasons to go there as well. Barry and my mom Barbara were married in 1968 and were life partners for 56 years. Barry was very fond of my mom and constantly relied on her for support and companionship. As a father, Barry was very involved and supportive of Brad and me. He made it a priority to be at all our games and other events, and always took an interest in our school and social lives. Of course, Dad had advice for us, and would often repeat it for emphasis. Now a father myself, I realize this advice comes from a good place. Dad loved talking business and politics with Brad and me, and was very proud we were both successful in our careers. Good times with family and friends were always important to Barry. He was always eager to raise a glass, share a story, or debate a topic. As many have pointed out, his laugh was contagious and filled the room. Barry enjoyed rooting for Boston area sports teams and his alum, Providence College Friars. Our family group chat was often filled with his sports opinions. In case you don't know, the New York Jets are trash, and Dick Buckus was the best linebacker ever. When Brad and I started our own families, Barry became Bud to Jack, Eliza, Grace, and Audrey. Bud was fiercely passionate grandfather, always demanding pictures of the kids and updates on what they're up to. He celebrated their accomplishments and kept in touch with them through text messages that probably took an inordinate amount of time for him to compose with a stylus. Of course, he had advice and stories for them too. Yes, you're correctly sensing a trend here. Bud would brag about his grandkids to anyone who would listen, often wearing something from their school or sports team. He was extremely proud of them. My father's two passions in life were family and his work. Two simple things, but ones that vastly impacted many people during his lifetime. Dad, Bud, Barry, we love you and we miss you dearly. Rest in peace, knowing you have very much completed your life's mission.
This concludes our service. Please, you're invited to the Concord Hotel.
And we're listening to the service, and he leans over to me, and he's like, "This is depressing." Dad, we're at a funeral, and it's kind of what what happens there. And so like we didn't realize that our Irish whisper was kind of going to 2 to 3, 4 pews ahead of us, and then second time in 20 minutes, that snapback occurred again, and we're just see people looking at us with that disapproving nod, and we gave our apologies again. And so on the way back, he was telling me what he wanted was a celebration of life, and I almost feel bad in this sense interrupting you, because this is like the stories, the laughter, the jokes and everything. I think he would be extremely grateful for that. This is what he wanted, and obviously, as Steve said earlier today, he had a lot to be grateful for: his family, his work, with the Veterans Home, and obviously friends in Newburyport and Hampton and in Florida. Really, I think he'd be expressing some gratitude. And I read somewhere just recently too that you always take some time out every single day to express gratitude. It could be just a second or two. It could be like a trifling little thing like your morning coffee, or something that you see on your commute home or commute to work or whatever. Something you see when you're walking your dog. But it doesn't really matter what it is, but you just take that second or two to just kind of appreciate what you have and what you have and all of that. And I think that's what he did. And he used to do that a lot when we were living in Newburyport and in Hampton, and although he would do it at night and outside, and he would look up at the sky and he'd say a prayer. And I'd always be, in the bedroom above, with the front porch or the back porch respectively, whether in Newburyport or Hampton, and I'd wake up kind of startled, and then you hear like a neighborhood dog bark, and then you could see like the neighborhood lights come on a little bit, and I think some of the neighbors kind of like waking up startled, and like they had their like phone and they like pressed 9 and then 1, and they're just waiting for that second one to press, just in case they hear any other like noises or whatever. But he would look up at the sky and he'd express gratitude, and I think that's something that I will take and remember for him about. And I know he's looking, as opposed to looking up at the sky, I know he's looking down today, and he's going to be just expressing, I think, the same type of gratitude for all your being here. So thank you again for coming, and just for cheers for Barry Conway, for a life well lived, friends, family, and gratitude. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And this mic is open, so if you all want to share any stories, by all means, please feel free to come on up. Not right now if you don't want to, but anytime during the celebration of life, because that's what it is. It's a celebration of life. And really, again, thank you so much.